Welcome to Manga Head Episode 2. Morgs, how you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
That's the intro. This week we're gonna actually talk about what we're reading, which is Tokyo Ghoul, and we are going to be discussing these three arcs as soon as I pull them up. The introduction arc, the Nishiki arc, and the Dove's Emergence arc.
Those are really pretty arcs.
Yeah, but the intro is only the first 3 chapters. The
Wow.
first 2 are like the second one. The one's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters.
All right.
So, Margs, if you want to kind of lead us on and maybe explain what the first introduction arc's kind of about.
Okay. So Tokyo Ghoul is about. I think.
Well, actually, who's it written by? Let's start out with that.
Who's it? Who's the mangaka?
Yeah, the mangaka.
The manga. Why are you saying it like that?
The mangaka.
Sui Ishida.
Sui?
I don't know if it's Sue. Sui. Sui Ishida.
That
Ishida.
sounds about right to me.
Okay. So starting from the top, there's a. Pretty sure Ken Kaneki is actually technically a college student.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So it starts off with Kaneki Ken, a 19-year-old college student out with his friend at a cafe, and it's really just his friend Hide making fun of him for liking a girl. And then another character gets introduced, which is the waitress Toka, but you don't know that she's gonna be like an important character until a little bit later. And then they're obviously just kind of like goofing around, and the next thing you know, the actual girl who Kaneki likes walks in, and that's Rize. And so time kind of goes on a little bit, and then it's Rize and Kaneki on a date. And the reason they're on a date is because they share a common interest in the same book author, who I can't remember.
Yeah, and it's Franz Kafka.
What?
It's Kafka.
Is it an actual author?
Yeah, he wrote like he wrote like a lot of popular books back in like the early 20th century, kind of 19th century and
I
20th
didn't realize it
century.
was an actual person.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because
Because
he's
it
really,
goes by a different author as well.
I think it's it's
If,
his
if it,
name was
it's probably,
Kafka,
yeah, it's probably based off of Kafka, but the person is obviously like an author in the world
right?
of Tokyo Ghoul. Anyways, so yeah, they're on a date, talking about the books, hanging out, and then later on, Rize leads him into this alleyway, and it's shown that she's actually the ghoul that everybody that has been dropping hints and has been murdering. And ghouls are basically demons, kind of. They're ghouls that eat humans, so obviously it's like humans versus ghouls
They're
all the
they're
time.
not really.
They're not demons.
They're more. I mean,
Cannibals, I guess, kind of, in a way, because they look exactly like humans, but they eat humans.
they're basically cannibals with supernatural powers, but they're cannibals that don't really want to be cannibals.
Sometimes. Some of them, it just depends on the ghoul.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
Because
their brains operate
meet
the same way.
we meet a character that likes eating people.
So that happens. Rize is trying to eat Kaneki, and then Kaneki, Rize gets her Kagune out and stabs him. And then, yada, yada, yada. And then this scaffolding just magically falls on top of her and insta-kills her. And so Kaneki's sitting there, dying. And then Rize's on the floor dead. And then finally, like, somebody shows up and finds them. And so while Kaneki's in the hospital, the doctor was like, okay, well, we need a transplant, an organ transplant. So they took the organs from Rize and put it into Kaneki to save him. And
Yep.
that is what triggered Kaneki, and that's what turned him into this half ghoul, half human. So a lot of the first arc is just him trying to find out what is wrong with him and why he can't eat normal human food, because ghouls can't eat normal human food. It
Yeah, I
makes
thought that was pretty cool. How whenever he would like eat anything or like drink coffee, he like had to puke. I thought that was kind of interesting because
well, no, coffee's the only thing that he can really like get down. Water and coffee. Coffee can subdue
oh,
hunger in a
that's
way.
right. Yeah, I forgot about the coffee. Okay.
So
I thought when I don't know why I thought that when he drank it, it made him sick.
yeah, Kaneki's just kind of dealing with that, and then it's just Kaneki refusing to believe that he is a ghoul, even though his one eye is the only eye that is like ghoulish. So he's resisting eating humans this whole time. He's like, why am I thinking like this? Yada yada yada. And like he's just growing weaker and weaker. And so he finally finds out that coffee is like one of the only things that can help the hunger.
Yeah, it kind of subdues it.
Yeah.
And
And
like he doesn't want to eat people.
no, he's very against it. So
Hmm.
he's in the store trying to buy even more coffee when he passes by someone else who's also buying coffee. And then when he's exiting the store, he starts smelling, something good, and he's like, "Oh man, what's that smell?" And he's like, "Oh shit, gotta go get some of that." So he's walking to where it is, and then there he finds this new character. His name is Nishiki, and it turns out that he's a ghoul, and that was the other person who was buying coffee, and he's. Oh wait, no. He follows it to a random ghoul that's eating a human, and then that's when Nishiki shows up and is like, "This
Yep.
is my turf." And
Oh, it
then
is Nishiki. I thought it was Nishiki. Sorry.
so and then Nishiki's looking at Kaneki like, "Well, what are you doing? This is my territory. Get out." And then meanwhile Kaneki's just kind of sitting there like, "Why am I here? Because I don't want to eat a human." He's like, "Why does it smell so good?" And then Toka shows up and starts saying like, "Oh, this isn't your turf. Get away, Nishiki. This was Rize's before she died." And then it is also revealed that Toka is a ghoul. So that was like a big wow, Toka is a ghoul. That waitress from before.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that coming.
Yeah. I can't tell if that was sarcasm or not.
It was.
Okay, yeah, obviously. And then so they oh, what happens then? Because I think they just kind of leave unscathed, right? Well, obviously,
Yeah,
I think they kind of just got in a little quarrel, but they hadn't like fought yet.
they go back to like the tea shop or whatever, and they give him a job, don't they?
No, that's after. It's still a little bit after. So what happens after that is I think Toka just kind of breaks up that little fight, you know, and
Yeah.
then like it's either like a week later or something, and Kaneki is hanging out with Hide, and it just so happens that Hide is bringing him to Nishiki, but Kaneki didn't know that because Hide was just like, "Follow me, we're gonna go see a friend," and then
Hmm.
it's Nishiki, and then so they're all three hanging out, and it's
Oh
just like
yeah, I remember that.
Kaneki's just contemplating to himself, saying, "Okay, well, when is he gonna like do something? Like, how is he acting so normal when he's a ghoul?" And it turns out that Nishiki is literally leading them into this alleyway so Nishiki can kill both of them and eat Hide. So he basically like tries to confront Kaneki and say, "Oh, you were so close to this human because you were totally gonna eat them." But then Kaneki kind of gets mad and he's like, "I was never gonna eat Hide. I'm not one of you." And like Kaneki's basically confused. And then finally, like his first Kagune comes out, which is like the tail thing you see, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Kaneki's trying to fight Nishiki because he's trying to defend Hide and himself because he's not going to eat Hide, but he's also concerned that Nishiki is going to eat Hide. Yeah. But then, they were fighting, and then all of a sudden, Kaneki wants to eat Hide because he can't control his hunger anymore. And that's when Toka shows up again and basically just saves them. It saves Hide and Kaneki. We don't see Nishiki or anything of that fight that happens. We just see kind of like the aftermath, which is Hide in that cafe we saw in the first chapter that they were sitting in. And so that's when Kaneki is recruited by the old man who's like the shop owner. And he kind of like the old man kind of explains like, oh, this is our ghoul cafe, you know,
Ghoul Cafe,
ghoul
baby.
cafe. And so it's like they supply other ghouls who can't hunt with meat.
Yeah.
And so he kind of explains things to Kaneki. And then it's also shown that later that Toka was the one who saved Hide and like that she got hurt fighting Nishiki. So that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
And then it was kind of like, you know, just kind of teaching Kaneki about things and Kaneki basically saying, I'm still not a ghoul. But then,
Even
you
though
know,
he definitely is.
yeah. Oh, we also forgot about the part where Toka force feeds Kaneki, which I thought
Oh
was
yeah.
which I thought was pretty important because that was the first fight where Nishiki first showed up before we knew about him.
Hmm.
She just kind of showed like, and then you know it's just the body, and then like yada yada yada, and then Toka is just force feeding a whole arm.
Yeah, I think it was kind of important because it was kind of like Kaneki's first big step into accepting how he is now.
Granted, he was forcefully accept like he had to force accept it basically.
Yeah, but I mean, she kind of pushed him to start his acceptance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which is very important because now he does have a little bit more strength,
Hmm.
which I think also lets his Kagune come out during that second fight.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then while Kaneki starts working at this cafe, it's shown that a mom and her daughter are coming in, which are ghouls. And I think this also helps Kaneki like get into the ghoul world and think, wow, so they're humans just like us, but like how do they how do they live, you know? Like how does nobody find them?
Right.
So this just means Kaneki is becoming more and more curious about the ghoul world and is trying to accept it. And I think Hinami, which is the little girl, also helps a lot with that because it's like him and her were like sharing a moment about reading that author we were talking about earlier. They read that author's works and like
Yeah,
Kaneki was
that's right.
teaching her how to read it because she's not in school since she's a ghoul. And also the CCG, which are basically ghoul investigators. They go out and find the ghouls and kill them.
Hmm.
And they were after Hinami and her mom, and they just had killed her dad. So
Yeah, so kind of right off the bat with Hinami and her mom, you get let in on all this trauma that they have.
yeah, and then we kind of get shown to two CCG members, which are Kotaro Aman and I can't remember his name, but it's Mato. That's his last name.
Yeah.
And like Mato is this crazy old guy, and then Aman is just like a
Yeah, Motto is kind of like a little bit too, oh, look at me, I'm evil, kind of like as a character.
well, he's just very interested by the ghouls, but he wants to murder them all.
Yeah, and he doesn't like seem to have too much of a reason at first to me.
No, not at first. No, he doesn't really have any reason except I just want to murder every ghoul. And they carry around these briefcases that actually have ghouls cogunes in them. So they use the ghouls cogunes, like they use the ghouls weapons as their weapons,
Yeah.
and that's also later shown. And so Kaneki, let's see, so ba-da-ba-da-ba, you know, they get shown, and then it also we explore how this cafe is getting meat for all the ghouls that can't hunt, and it's shown that they do take like suicide members, and they find the suicide people dead, you know, and they're like, hey, well, we'll just use their dead meat as food for us. So that's how they supply a lot of meat. But then I think they also do kill people in case, got to keep that supply up.
Yeah.
So that happens. Kaneki is just really learning more about the ghoul world, and I think he's just learning to accept. And then they visit a mask shop because in order to
Yeah,
hide,
once they get to the mask is, like, once I feel like it actually got pretty interesting.
yeah, because in order to like make sure your identity isn't revealed to a CCG investigator, you have to have a mask because when you're a ghoul running about, you're obvious, like your eyes
Yeah,
are different and you have
like,
cognate.
and when you're wearing your eye patch all the time, it's pretty obvious.
Oh yeah, Kaneki has to wear an eye patch all the time because he can't control his one ghoul eye because he's always hungry.
Yeah,
So they go visit Uta, which is a mask maker, and every ghoul has their own mask. So, that's a big part.
of the
And
whole
then
series.
yes, because that's where he originally got his mask, and his mask is very iconic because it adapts that uh that eye patch into his mask, and you can only see his one ghoul eye with his mask.
Yeah, his mask is, like,
It's like the
that's what
coolest. It's probably the coolest one I've ever seen in the entire series. They made his mask so much cooler than everybody else's, really.
I mean, he's the main character, so I kinda get it.
True. And he's so different. He's half ghoul, half human, basically.
Yeah. It's definitely, like, one of the more iconic images from the series so far that I've seen.
Yeah. And so that happens, and then we learn more about Hinami and Hinami and her mom. And that kind of like comes back to where her dad died because Hinami's mom went and buried the dad's mask. Going back to the mask, so she's buried the mask
Yeah, I
where the
forgot
dad
about
died.
that.
And then that led the CCG investigators to the mom because it just confirmed
Mhm.
that everybody's a ghoul in that family, the
Yeah,
Fueguchis. And so the CCG investigators, which are Mato and Amon and some of the other smaller characters, they follow the mom and the Hinami and the mom. And then, obviously the mom's just like, run, Hinami. And so the mom is fighting them to save Hinami, and then Hinami runs into Kaneki, and Kaneki can't do anything because he doesn't know what to do. So he just covers her eyes while they watch the mom die, basically. And the really fucked up part about that is that Mado had killed the dad, and then he's using the dad's Kagune to kill the mom. So it's basically like watching the dad just murder the mom, essentially.
yeah.
So I
It
thought
was
that was
pretty traumatic, really.
well, yeah, so it's good that Kaneki was at least there to cover her eyes, even though he couldn't really do
Yeah,
anything else.
it's all happening right in front of the kid, which was pretty sad.
And so that causes Toka to get really mad. And Kaneki still is just in this really weak state, doesn't know what to do, and is really confused. So he's kind of like, he feels bad, obviously, but it's like, what is he supposed to do? He has his own issues. But Toka is like enraged by this, and then she goes on like a killing spree and starts killing investigators, right?
Mhm.
And it's shown that she has a rabbit mask. So when she's out fighting, she has a rabbit mask, and her Kagune is also like one wing. So it's very pretty and pretty looking and cool. And then let's see. And then obviously Toka and Kaneki have been kind of sort of like training in a way underground. Kaneki
Yep.
wants to learn how to be stronger. But the thing about Kaneki trying to learn how to be stronger, like he can't because he's not eating, which is the biggest thing. The old man of the cafe basically just gave him this cube that can subdue his hunger, but it's not going to completely satisfy it. So eventually that hunger is going to take over. And we start to see that a little bit later on when Mato and Amon are brought back up because
Right.
Hinami has run away. She's sad, and she's like, she's just like,
Her mom just died,
yeah, she's a
so
little messed up in the brain. So she runs away from the cafe, where she has been staying. And Toka and Kaneki finally notice. And Toka is looking for Hinami. Kaneki's looking for her. They split up, and then Toga finally finds Hinami, and there she is, just sitting in a pile of rocks where her like mom died with her mom's dead arm. and it's just this really messed up, sad part. And then the guy who killed the mom and the dad, Motto, shows up. The old guy, the old crazy guy, just shows up, and he's like, "Hey, Toka's there," and she's like, "I'm not gonna let you kill Hinami." And then it goes back over to Kaneki, who's fighting Amon, which Amon is just like this. He's a really young investigator, but he's a really dedicated one. And so he's just kind of like, get out of. So Kaneki is just
Yeah.
basically like, get out of the way. I don't want to kill you, because he's half
Yeah.
human still. So he's like, I'm not gonna kill you.
And Amon doesn't mess around.
No, he immediately takes out his kinke. I think that's how you say it, which is the ghoul weapon. And he's like, no, I'm gonna fight. So
Yeah.
down underground, there's Motto, Toka, and Hinami fighting, and then above there's Kaneki with his new mask, and Amon. And Toka doesn't have her mask on, and Hinami doesn't even have a mask. So Motto knows what they look like now, and so he's using the mom and the dad's weapon. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so he's using both of those to fight Toka, and so basically Toka just runs on instinct, and you notice that, and so that lets Motto have the upper hand because he's smarter and knows how to fight ghouls. So Toka gets injured, and then Hinami finally just takes too much, and that's when her first power is revealed. Her Kagunes, and it actually is shown that she has two, and it's the mom and the dad's Kagunes. So it's basically just like this big fight of mom and dad Kagunes, and it's Motto and Hinami. And then on top of that, Toka finally gets her strength and then kills Motto. And so Motto's dead, big O's. And so while Motto is dying to Toka, Amon and Kaneki are fighting on top. And Kaneki is basically just like, he knows he can't win unless
Yeah.
he gets some sort of human meat. So Kaneki literally just takes a bite out of Amon's shoulder, and he's like, "Okay, whatever. I guess I'll do this." And that causes him to kind of power up, but then he starts going crazy because he's like, "Wow, I'm starving and I just ate human." So he's trying really hard to fight off his ghoul part and his human part, because it's like he's going crazy in his head. He's thinking, "Wow, I'm starving, but I can't eat a human. What am I doing?"
Yeah, that was a really interesting scene. It was a cool fight scene that way.
So Alman is just kind of like trying to fight him still, but you can't really do anything because like Kaneki's trying to fight but not to fight, because if he does fight, literally he's just gonna end up dying or
Yeah.
eating him. And then I think finally, after a while of them fighting, Kaneki's Kagune show up, but he like runs away, right? Yeah, he runs away from the Amon fight, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so Kaneki runs away from the Amon fight. And then
Don't him and Toka meet back at the
no, he's having his own little spurt saying he needs to go eat food, and that's when his Kagunes come out. And that's
Oh
when
yeah,
Reggie
okay.
Yomo shows up, and he has a Doctor Plague mask, which is really cool. And then he stabs him with
Oh,
his
that's
Kagune.
right. Yeah, I remember that now.
And then finally, like, Kaneki is like, "Oh my god, I just stabbed this guy." And then like it's like he recognizes Yomo, so he starts freaking out.
Yeah.
And then Yomo was like, "It's chill, dude. You just need to eat this." And so yeah, Amon is walking. I didn't realize this, but Amo actually sees Mado die. I kind of forgot about that. So
Yeah, he does, which pisses him off.
yeah, Amon just kind of goes a little bit sicko mode while Toka kills him. But I think
That scene where Mato dies is pretty fucking cool.
yeah, and then Amon just kind of screams at the top of his lungs. It just shows like how angry he is, and I think it portrays what's gonna come next.
Yeah. How he's gonna get revenge.
Yeah. And that kind of shows like the character building between Toka and Kaneki as well, because when they do meet up, it's kind of like Toka's in pain, obviously, and so Kaneki like kind of helps her, and it just
Yeah.
shows that Toka does have a soft side because she's obviously like the tsundere of the series. So basically, they all basically walk away not hurt, except Mato's dead, and then Amon's just pissed off now, and so he's gonna be looking for revenge now, basically. And I think that was when the arc ended. Because Toka got her revenge, Hinami got her revenge in a way, or got some closure. And so now it just leaves more open
Yeah,
arc.
I mean, the next chapter was pretty much just Amon, and like a flashback chapter
Yeah,
for him
it
on
shows
why he
Mato
doesn't
and
like
him meeting.
ghouls. Yeah.
But so far it's pretty good and it leaves a lot open and it leaves you wanting more and like what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, it starts out kind of slow. Like it doesn't start out slow in the first chapter, but once it's just like kind of Kaneki going through the motions and him being very stubborn about not wanting to
Mostly just a big baby.
excuse me. Not yeah, he's just isn't accepting of his new self and how he is now, which obviously for character development purposes, he has to go through the motions and learn how his body reacts to certain things and what he can do now. So it was pretty interesting to see how much he developed. Toko was kind of for me up until she fights Mato because she just kind of seemed like a stubborn, hard person. But at the end of the arc, like you said, we get to see more of a soft side for her.
Yeah. And another big thing is that since Kaneki has Rize's like parts in him, he smells like a female ghoul and he has the exact same cognate as Rize. So that causes a lot of issues.
That's right. I remember that now.
Because it's like, why do you smell like a female ghoul and why do you look like Rize, basically?
Yeah.
And Rize was like a big like mass murderer and like she was a really big part of
She
the
was
ghoul
big on the Ghoul Street.
yeah, on the ghoul street. And everybody knows who Rize is. So it's like, oh man, Rize died, so now
Now this guy's her replacement, kind of.
kind of, but they're also just kind of wondering where Rize went at the same time and
Right.
everything. A lot
Yeah.
of people think that the CCG or a lot of ghouls thought that CCG got her. So
Yeah. I think the first few arcs were kind of well, not the first few arcs. The first few chapters were a little slow, but once Hanami and her mom came in, it definitely picked up the pace, and the
yeah,
character development for Kaneki started to come in a lot more, and it was a lot nicer to read because I mean every manga starts kind of slow, but this one was tough to break that barrier for me.
I mean, it sets up a good job like world building wise, I think, anyways. And
I mean, it does. Like, it's an interesting world. It was mainly Kaneki at first. I didn't really care for it because he was just very,
he's very bland and baby at first, but he
yeah,
gets a lot
he,
better throughout the series,
right.
which is obvious since, he's the main character.
Yeah, I mean, I figured he would get. Oh, oh. I figured he would get a lot more interesting as it went on, and he definitely did already throughout the first three arcs. So I'm excited to see how much farther he develops.
Yeah, and I've already read it, so I'm trying not to spoil things.
Right.
But yeah, he's gonna go through some things, obviously. More characters are gonna be introduced, and it's just gonna get a lot more interesting and a lot cooler, really. And we get to see Kaneki grow more on the ghoul side, I would say. He
Yeah, I
starts
figured.
adapting
I
a
mean,
bit more because you can't ignore that. Like,
yeah, I figured that's probably how the series direction is going to go. Is him kind of.
because we've already seen him basically starve himself and like just start dying of hunger. But then a ghoul
I
won't
feel
let
like
themselves die. Basically, they
right.
eat no matter what.
I feel like he's gonna like kind of replace Rizo, or was that her name, Rizo?
Rize.
Rize, yeah. I feel like he's going to kind of replace her as what she was in the ghoul world. And I
See, and
definitely think there's going to be.
but Rize ate so many people, and
I don't think he'll maybe do that. I think maybe he's going to do more, try and take down the CCG, sort of.
okay, yeah, I could see that.
Just a, just a prediction that I have.
I can't
Just
really
because,
disagree or agree.
yeah,
So
I mean, I don't. I just don't think that they're gonna drop the whole CCG thing. That'd be pretty stupid.
Well, no, and we saw Amon,
Yeah.
he's really angry now, so obviously he's
Well,
gonna be looking for
yeah.
those he's gonna
It
be looking
seems
for the
like
ghoul with the mask, that specific mask he was fighting, so he's gonna recognize Kaneki when he finds him.
yeah, it seems like Amon and Kaneki are gonna be like the main protagonist and antagonist of the series. So,
Yeah, it's
and
it's
maybe not Amon will be the antagonist necessarily. Like there'll be other enemies, but he'll be like the. I feel like it's all gonna come down at the end, kind of to those two in a way.
yeah, I mean, and then obviously after Tokyo Ghoul, there's still Tokyo Ghoul Re, so there's gonna be a lot more that goes on.
Is Re like a continuation of the series?
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was just
no,
like
all the
same
same
world,
characters are
different
in it.
story. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it for this first episode. Not really much to talk about. The art style was kind of whatever for me. I'm not huge on it yet. Not super sold on it, but
Pretty
I know a
chapters,
lot of
like
people love it.
well, the art style also just gets a lot better as time goes on, obviously.
Yeah,
But
that's every manga too. So
yeah, so it gets even better, and the fight scenes obviously get better because the fight scenes are very lackluster, I would say, right now, and it's hard to like see the Kagunes on on the ghouls.
yeah, it is.
So that gets a lot better, and Ishida just obviously starts showing things better and portraying things better.
Yeah, I can definitely like I've seen stills from other pages already, and I can definitely tell. So
Yep. But I think we're gonna go ahead and end the episode there.
yeah, so thanks for listening to episode 2 of Manga Head. I think next week we're gonna do the gourmet arc, is what we'll go ahead and read through, which is chapters 31 through 46. So uh, like 14 chapters ish. So
We might read two
maybe
arcs then.
well, the next arc after gourmet arc is Aorgori Tree, which is
Oh,
47 through 79.
the Aogiri. Yeah.
Isn't Aorgiri like the big arc in this series?
Yeah, kind of. They all kind of link in a way. So
Well, yeah, that's true.
I guess I guess we'll just read the gourmet arc because there is a lot to talk about for that arc. So,
Yeah, I'll try to write some stuff down for next time and actually make some more points.
but yes. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you did, just let us
Well,
know. And if you have any advice, also let us know in a nice way. We'd appreciate it.
yes. Yeah, that'd be really cool. So thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.